You're going to love this because it's got two of your favorite things in there, grains and legumes. And it actually is a very savory recipe. It's sort of like a meatloaf. I prefer not to use salt in any of my food. So how do I get it to have good flavor? Fresh herbs. So I use the whole bunch. This is organic, flat leaf Italian parsley. I just think it has more flavor than the curly stuff that's on your plate. And
so when she talks about salt and sugar, she does an A+ diet. She doesn't use any of those foods. And my feeling about salt and sugar is there's nothing healthy about those foods. But if you use a little bit of that as a condiment, as a way to get these healthy plant-based foods in, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, if you can get those in using a little bit of salt, is okay. The goal is to eat these foods for the rest of your life, and if a little bit of salt or a little bit of some type of sweetener is what does it, great. But she can also show you how to make it delicious without using those foods, and you have to decide what level you want to go to.
So we're just, that's it. To me, that's just so much easier than sitting there with a knife. We're going to pour everything in the bowl. This is so easy. It's like a one-bowl recipe. And don't worry if there's pieces of other stuff in there because everything's going to be blended together. And if for some reason you don't have a food processor, of course you could cut the parsley with a knife. It's going to be a little bit hard to mush these lentils unless you probably have to use a potato masher. But believe me, there's a way to do all these recipes without the machine. So we have a pound of carrots that I defrosted. We're just going to throw those in. And we're going to smush it up, make a little carrot pate, but that's good. And then, and again, if you have this is a 14-cup food processor, which is my preference, but even that's not big enough to have everything go in it at once. Now, my sister likes to have it where the green and the orange and the lentils show, and it's very beautiful. I like it to be all homogeneous so that it almost kind of looks like a meatloaf. And this is even better the next day cold because you could actually make kind of like a meatloaf sandwich. I hate cutting onions. Let the machine do it. Just keep them away. Oh, we may as well add the garlic now too. As much or as little as you like. That was 4 cloves. It's just so easy because this way we can talk. We don't have to worry about cutting ourselves with knives. It's just, to me, it's so much easier. That's good, that's good.
It's like a paste.
Yeah, and it's fine. It got a little bit liquidy, but that's fine. It's just going to have lots and lots of flavor. It's great, especially if you have kids. When kids make their food and get involved in it, they really want to eat what they make. And so if you give them healthy options, they'll do it. Next is the lentils. They actually sell steamed lentils now, already prepared. So that's good, nice and liquidy. Now, so traditionally when you make a meatloaf or any kind of loaf, you need some kind of binder. So very often in a meatloaf, if you guys are old enough to remember, they used to do it with egg. I don't remember, it's been so long. But in traditional vegan meatloafs, a lot of times they use breadcrumbs, which is fine, but there are more nutrient-rich choices than breadcrumbs. So I like to use oats, which is a whole grain. I always prefer to start with a whole grain, even if I have to grind it myself to make a flour, rather than buying a commercial flour.
Is that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing. So we have 2 cups of oats. Now for texture, I'm going to leave 1 cup whole. But for the flour part, I'm going to put 1 cup of the oats and 1 cup of the walnuts. And now you're going to grind this into a flour. That should be fine. And also for texture, I'm going to put in another cup of walnuts. Just put it right in. That's our flour. And what's neat about this is a lot of times plant-based food may taste good, but it doesn't look like anything that you're used to. This is going to slice just like a real meatloaf. We want these just quickly pulsed because we want some texture, but these are actually half walnuts. These are a little bit too big. So you'll put it in and you'll just press the pulse button a few times to get it nice. Yeah, just a little bit more. Yeah, just so that you get a little piece in your mouth. And then we're going to stir those in as well.
How's that?
That's good. And then we're going to pour that in. Now, I have, for my seasoning, 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomato powder. And I'm going to put that in. You buy sun-dried tomatoes without oil, the kind that are a little bit firmer. I have a coffee grinder that I use to grind my flax seeds to put in my smoothie every morning. You plug it in. And that's it. It's a great seasoning for soups and stews. I mean, it's so flavorful because the intensity of the tomato when it's dried is so delicious. And we use it in a lot of our recipes because we don't use any oil. And when you use non-silicone, you have to either grease it or spray it, which you're adding a lot of oil that you don't want. Nothing sticks to these. These are readily available in every shape and size.
You just pour it in here?
Just pour it in. You may have to use your hands a little bit to stick it in. And you know, you could make these into burgers if you wanted, or patties. I was thinking maybe like little cupcakes. You know, because I have a silicone mold like that. I thought it'd be kind of cute, like a presentation on a plate, to have like these little circles or croquets of lentil loaf. But if you want to make sandwiches the next day, you want it in this. So you don't need your hands at all. You're doing a great job.
Good?
Good, perfect. So we're going to go put this in the oven now at 350 degrees. Here's your lentil loaf, this silicone baking loaf pan. Nothing sticks to it. We didn't have to use any oil. And so I just take my serving dish. Usually I line it with kale, which actually, why not? We've got the kale here. Why not make it pretty? And then I'll just use this tomorrow. But presentation is really important with this kind of food, especially because so many people have preconceived notions about it. So we want to make it look as pretty as we can. But what's great about these pans is nothing sticks to it. Boom. Actually, it doesn't even really get very hot. I'm going to decorate it with some walnut halves on top. Going to be great. There we go. So there's our lentil loaf. And we're going to slice it up, and it's going to be even better the next day. It's going to be really firm, and it's going to make great sandwiches.